Hi,
Hello, everyone. Hi.
well,
Welcome to the
welcome to the widest orbit.
hello. Today we are going to do something different for the channel. So far, we have explored the meaning of ontological pluralism, and you can actually check our playlist on ontological pluralism for videos that we have done about what it means, what are its implications, and so on. However, we also think that the concepts that we are dealing with, the fundamental concepts that we are dealing with, have an application um, and can be seen, can be found to be deployed in various avenues of life, including art, cinema, music, ritual practices, and so on. And with that said, we are going to watch something. What are we watching, Suzanne?
We're going to watch a clip from the film Hereditary. Um, there's so much great. I mean, the whole film is wonderful. This particular clip is of interest simply because it's a possession of Annie, right, by the spirit Charlie Paimon, and yeah, so we thought we'd watch that and then talk about it in kind of like a
So,
textual analysis of film, just exploring the
so,
ideas presented and the possibilities with those.
so we are saying that the film is a text,
Yeah,
and this text deploys a lot of the concepts that we are trying to understand and also trying to explain.
right.
Okay. Anything before I play the clip? Anything you want to say about the film? Anything in particular? Any aspect of it that you want to emphasize? What are we looking at in the film?
Well, I mean, obviously it's a multi-layered film, but the notion of gods, spirits, demons, the concept of possession, the notion of the film itself, Hereditary, the idea that, can there be contracts made with entities, divinities, spirits, how those might play out, implications of those.
Right.
See, there's so many things that come up philosophically, notions of free will, no free will, fate, destiny, magic. Yeah, I mean, it's a it's
A lot
a lot to
lot
think
to
about.
unpack.
So
Yes. So
yeah,
what we can do is we can watch the film, watch the clip of the
right.
film, and then we'll see what we unpack.
Yeah,
So
unpack it a little
uh,
bit.
right. So let me share the screen. I hope the screen is visible.
Absolutely, looks great.
Okay. Okay. So this is called Annie's Possession by Charlie's Spirit.
Charlie, it's Mommy. And Daddy and Peter. Charlie, if you're in this room with us, I'm gonna have us all touch the glass. Don't add pressure. Now, if you're in here, Charlie, I want you to move the glass for us. Even if it's just a tiny bit, even if it's just the tiniest little movement, okay, Charlie? Okay.
What the hell?
What?
You don't feel that?
What? Feel what?
Like, you don't feel the air flexing?
Wow! Yes! Thank you, Charlie. That was so good. Okay. Now, Charlie, what I'd like for you to do is I'd like for you to show them what you did earlier. Can you show them what you just did for me before?
Mom.
Look, she's gonna do it.
That's enough.
What? No, 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 no. Listen, when I did this earlier, this manifested on the page. I saw it. Draw some more. What is it? It's Charlie. Did you finish, Charlie? Did you want to draw some more? You can keep going.
Stop it! Stop it!
We need to keep our fingers touching.
You are scaring me!
No, I am not. Peter, listen.
Stop it!
Listen to me. There is no need to be scared. This is your sister. Charlie? What's wrong?
Hello?
Mom?
Mom? Mom?
I don't like this. Dad, I don't like this.
What's happening?
Please stop.
What's going on? Mom!
Please. You're really freaking me out. Please stop.
What's
Dad,
happening?
make it
Why is
stop,
everyone
please.
scared?
Why are you scaring me?
Make it stop! Make it fucking stop! Make it stop! Please stop! Now make it stop!
Scared me! What the hell? What are you doing? What happened?
Okay, so quite a heavy
Right.
theme.
Yeah, that's a
Uh,
good one.
what did she say? Why are you scared of me? Or did she say, why are you scaring me?
Right. I'm not actually positive what she said right there. That's a good
Because
question.
because that would change a lot of what is happening in that scene. Because um, it looks like, and throughout this film, it looks as if Paimon is not the typical all-powerful spirit who is never vulnerable, never hurt or scared,
Right.
because it looks as if Paimon, and this is actually, to me, the brilliance of the film, the entity here is vulnerable
Right.
and
Bewildered.
bewildered, yes. And if so, so one instance of this in the film is in the funeral of the grandma, where Charlie, who is possessed by Paimon, is hurt or feels, it looks as if Charlie feels stranded um, by the death of her grandmother. And if it is a young, uh, small little girl, that makes sense, obviously. But if it is Paimon who is in Charlie, then that is weird, because
Right.
why would this entity, this supposedly king of hell, so scared at the death of a human being with
Right.
whom he is not related? So it feels as if throughout the film, um, Paimon is not always sure of where he is, not always sure of what will happen to him
Right.
next. And so that vulnerability of Paimon is really brought out quite well in the film, in my opinion. So in this case, also, when Paimon, and that's what we are assuming here, when Paimon enters into Annie, he is bewildered, as you say, and also a little bit scared of what is happening. So that's a very interesting way of discussing or portraying a spirit, in my opinion. And as we said in the last lecture, video, the episode that we did, that the good and the bad are not so clearly distinct in a black and
Right.
white way, and the film in this way does a good job of portraying that aspect of
Right.
evil and so on. So that's my first initial sort of takeaway from the clip.
Right. Yeah. So early on, as you noted at the funeral, Charlie, she just seems a little lost or concerned. And then that night, she says to her mom, well, her mother asks her, are you sad? Do you want to cry? Right. And Charlie just says, well, who will take care of me now?
Yes.
And, clearly the grandmother is key or instrumental. And if we understand that that's not merely Charlie speaking, but Paimon, either wholly or in part, then the grandma, as what we've talked about being sort of the priestess, she's the conjurer, right? The sort of the chief person to bring Paimon into this world. Now that person has disappeared. And so this spirit, which is not yet in the body it wants, right? It was in this female
Yeah.
child, uh, is maybe unsure of how things are supposed to go, or how the ritual can ultimately be completed. And of course, that's where Joan and the other cult members, the cult of Paimon, are relevant.
I
And
do
so,
think that, sorry, yeah.
no, go ahead.
I do think that at that moment when the Annie is in Charlie's room, at that moment I do think that it is Paimon, because Charlie does not connect with the mom at all. I mean, she's completely distanced from her, does not want her
Right,
uh, consoling her
right,
like that. I mean, she is so I mean, that's not her daughter at that moment, at least, because we don't really know how much of Charlie remains,
right,
how much of Charlie is Paimon, how much of Charlie is Charlie. That itself is an open question. But
right,
if Charlie has Paimon in her since childhood, then I don't think that Charlie's personality has had any room to develop. So that also has to be kept in mind. So yeah. So are
there's
you also
also,
saying?
well, I was about to address the lack of a bond, if you will, between the mother and the daughter. Um, Charlie, whether she's solely Paimon or part herself, is a quirky, idiosyncratic, and strange character. And if you recall, there's also the sort of a confession by Annie to Joan when she's at Joan's house about how the time she, because she sleepwalks, that she doused her children with paint thinner
Yes.
and lit a match. And so, that's a separate issue, but at the same time, there's that the way that would have fed in to, the children being afraid of their mother. That character of Annie throughout the film, I think, she displays some self-absorption, whether, I don't know if we want to say narcissism, but clearly she herself comes from severely traumatic upbringing and experiences. But yeah, I think just there's so many interesting questions that are raised by different things in this film.
And there's also then that psychological way of looking at this film too, right? So it's not just
Right,
um, only the supernatural, but both can go together. It can be both a supernatural uh, set of events, and the psychological adds into this as well. So
right. So
yeah.
someone who has no interest or belief
Mhm.
in, if you will, of things like spirits and such, they can still get a lot from this film if you take all of that as a metaphor for, things like intergenerational trauma, that kind of thing, and then the havoc that wreaks as the
Yeah.
generations
True.
unfold, right?
True.
So,
True. Right. So in this scene at this point, uh, is this the first time do you think that Annie is being possessed by Paimon? Is this
I
the
think,
first instance of possession?
yeah, I think so, because I believe prior to her getting her husband and son to come downstairs, was when she had went under Joan's direction and did the recitation of the words and the little ritual that Joan had outlined for her, which I take that was a necessary condition for this ritual for Paimon to do what he needs to do to happen, right? So that's why Joni faked her out, befriended her. As we talked about earlier, Paimon very well was the one who pretended to be Joni's grandson, right? In
Yes.
order to demonstrate power to Annie about, channeling or what have you.
So,
But yeah,
so
so I
all
think,
those are tricks to get her to try it on her own. And then
right,
once she does, I think Paimon at least enters the house,
right. And,
right?
and in this
So,
scene appears to enter Annie, right? The only
mm.
other
and
options are insanity. She's in a mental health issue, something like that, or she's faking. But I think the scene is intended to convey to the viewer that
yeah,
something really is happening. Okay.
mm,
And
mm,
thus does she speak in Charlie's voice. But again, Pamon has been inside of Charlie since Charlie was a baby, possibly
mm.
since right after birth. And so that's the voice Pamon has had for
And
how
he's been in this house too, right? So this house is also uh Paimon knows this house quite well. This is
right.
also Paimon's house in a way. So um she doesn't have to bring him from the outside, even when she is so I mean it's not like I mean Paimon it's easy that is to bring that bring Paimon in here because he knows this house quite well. So it's his house, and Charlie has Charlie's body, as it were, is his has been his body for a long time. So it's also interesting that he has traces of her,
Right.
and so he's an interesting spirit in that way that he uh, is not unaffected by the host that he
Right.
enters into.
Right.
So
And
again,
that's a
another
question.
aspect of
Yeah,
yes,
that is a question there. Um, is he speaking with Charlie's voice through Annie? Because that's the voice he is familiar with, right? Or is he doing it knowingly as a manipulation, a further manipulation of Annie,
Bec-
right?
because the voice was definitely higher than
Right.
Charlie's voice. I could see that it looked like a childish, like a kid's. Well, that's not the voice that Charlie had when she was alive. Her voice was more uh, uh
Gritty.
lower,
Yeah.
gritty. Yeah,
Mm.
so he might
Manipulate.
just be manipulating them into thinking that
And it
it's
that's clearly is happening. I mean, that's clearly one aspect of what's happening. The whole thing is a manipulation of Annie to get her to do what needs to be done so that Paimon can take over her son. That's the body that he wants. Um, so
yes.
yeah, um, so that's a question there. And I do think
So
that's the first time that he's inside of Annie, right? And
and the final time is when the husband burns and
right.
that scene near the fireplace where
She
as,
visibly
as
alters. She just goes from screaming, freaking out, into this. It's almost like they shot it that way so you could see when the spirit entered her, and her face
yes,
just changes, right?
yes,
And from then on, she's purs-
permanently.
pursuing Peter, like tormenting Peter and chasing him and what have you, watching him for
At
a
that
while.
that is to say that at that point all of Annie is gone.
I think so. After the burn
Mm,
of the father. Um,
mm.
which it's a question how much of her was there in the first place, really, right? I mean, she's got terrible problems that
which
show
is
up.
where I think which is where I think the psychological and the spiritual interconnect, because
Right,
she's been living this story for a long time, though she's been living this in a psychological sense, or in a, I mean, she's undergoing the exact same uh, traumas that, I mean, for example, the distance from the child is a psychological thing, but at this point, it has also become a supernatural
right,
pursuit of the child malevolently. So it's the psychological element and the supernatural element kind of go together in her
right.
case. So yeah,
Right. And
so
in that way, that the very title of the film itself, kind of points to one of the major
yes,
themes,
that's a good
whether
one.
it's
Yes,
spiritual, psychological, or a nexus of the two, and how, when she goes to that 12-step meeting, and that's where you kind of get some background, right? Her mother's husband, her father, he had died. I believe he was the one that starved himself to death. And
yes.
then her brother claims that the mom is trying to put things inside of
And
him.
again, instances of the connection between the psychological and the spiritual.
Right,
So spiritual is what is causing the psychological and vice versa and so on. So
right.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
then the brother dies, and then Annie shares that it was her husband who succeeded at sort of enforcing a boundary such that her mother, was not allowed to be around baby Peter, right?
Yes,
And so
yes.
we understand that to be why Peter's not possessed by Pamela, but she kind of gets worn down and gives in with her second child and gives that child over. And apparently her mother even breastfed her baby, which is very weird.
Mhm.
Again, it could be a symbol or a ritual behavior. Really think about it, sort of establishing I'm your spiritual mother, right? Between Annie's mother and Pamela
Mhm.
inside of Charlie. So yeah. Um, but yeah, and so it's been going on through time, right? Headed towards I guess what we see at the end of the film, right? That with that being the ultimate goal.
Right. And so that's the hereditary connect also. Yes. Um, I was also wondering um, if uh, if this is the first time that Paimon is invoked, or because there's a question that you were asking before when we were discussing this, that where was Paimon
Right,
before all this? So
right.
is
Before he
is
was
there
in.
is there a legacy, a hereditary to this cult itself? Is she the first priestess, or is
Right,
is she part of a longer legacy? That's also a question
right.
that
I
comes
think the
up.
only info we really get about that is just those lines in that book. I think we've talked about that where, it shows the pages in the book and it says, great riches come to the conjurer. And so, my assumption is that throughout time, Paimon has been conjured at different times. But it's never clear if, there's certain people, bloodlines, if you will, that are more closely connected to him. And again, where does he go when his body
Right.
is done, the human
Yeah.
body, right?
Yeah. After that is after Peter, what happens to
Right,
him. I also
right.
wonder how much of this would have been a secret to Annie,
Yeah,
because
it seems like a
it's
lot of it is, or she's repressed it, right?
she's
Uh,
repressed some of it. Because when you see that when she realizes who Joan is and goes
right,
back home, all she has to do is open that box and a book is right there.
right,
So
right,
that's a symbolically, I mean, it's not that deep down, it's not that hidden.
right. And she recognized
And
the mat outside the door that her mother used
yeah,
to sit on
even
those mats, right? And
right. And it's
so,
not as if they are hiding a lot of this from her
right,
either. Like Joan, who's this super intelligent, manipulative
right,
person, all she has to do is to hide this from her when she is visiting. So, but she doesn't do that. It appears as if it's it's secret, but also an open secret, and one
Right.
wonders how much Annie does not know. I mean, maybe she knows a lot because she does mention in the funeral that she's a person of secret rituals,
Right.
but I don't
Right.
know how much of this can be kept a secret from
Right.
your daughter. I don't know. And it doesn't look as if they are not a close-knit family. Yes, there was a no contact rule, which shows
Right.
that they were together. That's why you need a no contact rule in the first place. So, yeah.
Well,
So there's that.
we'll have to come
Yeah.
back and talk more about these. Because
Right.
I think we talked about we're going to do a few more clips so we can explore the ideas. Um,
Hmm.
the timing for the recording is about to wind up. So,
Okay.
yeah,
All right.
that went by
Right.
really fast. But
Right.
thank you
Cool.
for being
Tuning
here,
in. Yes.
Bharatwaj, and
Yeah.
thanks to anybody viewing and like and subscribe. And yeah, we'll be putting up more content, various kinds, soon enough.
We'll be back.
We will.
Thank you. Yes.
Bye bye.